114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125. Distinguished Senator Kau Ismaila. Distinguished Senator Kau Ismaila. You have joined the club of elder assessment.
Which is not very much comfortable.
So,
Mr. President,
the whip of the Senate. So find a way to reseat him. Because this other side will soon be empty, so he may have to sit somewhere here. Very good.
Mr. President,
Yes.
my dear distinguished and respected colleagues, I am Senator Suleiman Abrahaman Kau Sumaila, representing Kano South Senatorial District, APC from Kano. Mr. President, I hereby move to adopt the board of proceeding of Tuesday, 1st July 2025. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Sunday Masha.
Mr. President, my colleagues, Sunday Marshall Katung, I represent the people of Kaduna South Senatorial District. I'm from Kaduna State. I rise to second the motion as moved by my brother, my colleague, Senator Kau, that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 2nd July be adopted as a true reflection of what transpired in the Senate. I so second, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings are hereby approved. This is to remind distinguished members of the Ad hoc Committee on National Security Summit of its meeting as follows. Wednesday, 9th day of July, 2025, meeting room 415, Senate Leaders Meeting Room, 3 p.m. Please endeavor to attend. Signed, Distinguished Senator Bamidele Michael Opeyemi, CON, Chairman of the committee. This is notification of the passing of the distinguished Senator Caleb Zaki. I write on behalf of the family of the late distinguished Senator Caleb Zaki to formally inform the Senate of his passing. Senator Zaki died on the 25th of June 2025 after a brief illness. He served in the House of Representatives from 2003 to 2007 and represented Kashia, Kakago Federal Constituency and in the Senate from 2007 to 2011 and represented the Kaduna South Senatorial District. The burial and everything, this is for the information of the Senate. This means Senator Sunday Masha. A formal motion to this effect will be brought tomorrow for the distinguished senators to pay their tribute. Any petition? No petition. Leader of the Senate. Yes, point of order. Distinguished Senator Victor Ume.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume, OFR. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I come under Order 41, Matter of Urgent Public Importance, and Order 51. May I read, Mr. President? May I read the orders?
Please proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. Order 51, notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general consent of the senators. Mr. President, I approach you this morning to tell you that the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Agunwa Anekwe, who was the Speaker of the House of Representatives between 1992 and 1993, during the military regime of General Sani Abacha. No, during the regime of Ibrahim Mamadou Babangida. He died on Sunday, the 6th of July, 2025. And with leave and permission of Mr. President, I would like to bring a formal motion in this respect, the next legislative day being tomorrow, if you kindly approve, so that I bring a motion to the Senate to talk about him, because he served this country as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I so seek, Mr. President.
You are not ready today? Okay, so you come by way of substantive. You come by way of substantive motion? If you had consulted the oracle of the Senate, one of the ancestors, Senator Abaribe, you would have gone ahead today. But since you said tomorrow, then we are bound to agree. Is it the wish of the Senate that he be allowed to proceed tomorrow? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, so tomorrow, Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in the name of the Senate leader on the National Examination Council NECO Act Amendment Bill 2025 HB 421. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Examination Council NECO Act
Senate.
Amendment Bill
This is
2025 HB 421 first reading.
No problem. National Examination Council NECO Act Amendment Bill 2025 HB 421 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in the name of the Senate leader on the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act Amendment Bill 2025 HB 1846. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act Amendment Bill 2025 HB 1846 first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, National Office of Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act Amendment Bill 2025 HB 1846 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Well, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first two businesses of the day are concurrence bills from the House of Representatives. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, I just want to say for the record that without attempting to respond to what was published in some newspapers about the Senate not working on concurrent bills of the House of Representatives, let me say for the record that we have been doing what we are supposed to do, and that only last week this Senate concurred to 6 bills from the House of Representatives. And yes, while we have the principle of chamber reciprocity, Mr. President, the principle of chamber reciprocity does not necessarily mean for us garbage in, garbage out. We will continue to consider concurrence bills sent from the House of Representatives the same way they also consider our own, and we will ensure that every bill is given attention in overriding public interest. I just wanted to say this. We are attending to those concurrence bills and will continue to do what we are supposed to do. And having said that, Mr. President, let me say the third business of the day.
Leader of the Senate, before you go, last week we attended to about 6 of those bills, and this week I don't know how many, but at least I know we are going to do 2 today, and we'll continue to do so. So please let our brothers in the House of Representatives know that we cannot joke with anything that comes from there. It takes 2 hands to clap, and we'll continue to work together. So proceed.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Kaka Shehu Lawal, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, on the Legislative House's Power and Privileges Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 708. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Legislative Houses Power and Privileges Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 708, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Legislative Houses Powers and Privileges Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 708, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Banigo Iqbalibo Hari on the Cyber Crimes Prohibition and Prevention Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 876. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Cyber Crimes Prohibition and Prevention Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 876, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Cyber Crimes Prohibition and Prevention Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 876, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Abiro Mukail Adetokunbo on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2025, SB 878. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 Alteration Bill, 2025, SB 878, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 Alteration Bill, 2025, SB 878, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Most Distinguished Senator Moro Abba Patrick, Minority Leader, on the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards, etc. Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 879. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Board, etc. Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 879, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards, etc. Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 879. First reading taken. Leader of the Senate. Joel, approach the chair.
Mr. President, I understand the chairman of the Senate Committee on Cybersecurity, distinguished Senator Salisu Shuaib Afolabi, is currently engaged at the conference center where he's representing Your Excellency. So I then would be moving that we step down the first order of the day to enable us to take the second order of the day. In which case my application is that we reorder the order paper to enable us to take the second order of the day as the first order of the day, which is the second reading of the Federal University of Science, Deba, Gombe State Establishment Bill 2025, SB 874. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 2nd July 2025. Mr. President, you may wish to invite His Excellency, Most Distinguished Senator Goje Mohammed Danjuma, to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Your Excellency, Most Distinguished Senator Goje Danjuma, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, and my highly distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles of this important bill, which seeks to establish the Federal University of Science, Deba, Gombe State. The bill was read the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 2nd July 2025. You will agree with me the importance of education in the socio-economic development of any country, and for any country to align with global educational dynamics, adequate preparation needs to be put in place. It is along this line that this bill has been developed to establish the Federal University of Science, Deba, Gombe State, northeastern Nigeria. The proposed University of Science will provide that requisite knowledge and expertise that will drive modern scientific innovations in Nigeria. The objectives of the university, as outlined in the bill, among others, include demonstrate scientific knowledge, skills, attitude, and experience, especially in their professional discipline, with global mindset, using critical thinking and problem-solving approaches. Exhibit significantly a balanced character of altruistic values and attitudes, ethics and professionalism, scientific thinking, arts and humanity toward good citizenship and nation building. Demonstrate socio-scientific and socio-entrepreneurial skills and mindset capable of contributing to the well-being of society in bringing equality, enhancing sustainability. Ensure the survival of the planet and humankind by ensuring the appropriate use of resources towards a greater understanding, respecting, and even taking necessary actions to build a robust and balanced, prosperous, and sustainable future. Mr. President and my highly distinguished colleagues, there is a strong justification that Nigeria needs more universities, specifically specialized universities, for its necessary development among the Community of Nations. That is, if the country wants to compete with other developed nations economically, scientifically, and technologically, it needs additional higher institutions of learning, especially the type this bill seeks to establish. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, having this type of university in this part of Nigeria, the Northeast, with a faculty for petroleum, petrochemical sciences and engineering, is promising to the future of petroleum industry for personnel, research, and development. This counters the need for any type of college or institution for petroleum technology. The university's faculty will produce the required manpower for the oil prospect of Gombe State and Bauchi states, where our teaming graduates will take ownership of the industry. The enactment of this bill will go a long way in transforming the decayed educational infrastructure in Nigeria and change the educational fortunes of the country for the better. It will also provide a balanced educational development in the entire Northeast. In line with Order 76, Subsection 3 of the Senate Standing Order 2023 as amended, the financial implications for the establishment of this university is hereby attached. Therefore, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, it is my prayer and ardent call that you consider the plight of the people who are desirous of becoming professional teachers and support the expeditious passage of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President, and God bless.
A seconder, Senator Abdul Ningi.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central. Mr. President, I'm equally from the northeastern part of the country, where this university is planned to be established. Gombe was part of Bauchi State, Mr. President, and I know, as a matter of fact, they've occupied a very unique place, even within the greater Bauchi, talk less of Gombe. The sponsor of this bill, Senator Danjuma Goje, was instrumental in revamping the educational infrastructure, establishment of various polytechnic secondary schools in Gombe State, while he was a governor in Gombe State, that this particular town, which borders Yobe from the south, Borno to the east, and part of Adamawa to the west, occupies a very strategic place. And therefore, it is really very sad that up to this time, there is no higher education facility in this very ancient town of Deba. Mr. President, science as it is the bedrock of development in the 21st century global development premises. So it is important that when you say science, you look at the entire scope of the Northeast. We do not have a university like what is actually being canvassed. Therefore, by bringing science close to the people, you are opening up a window for the youth who are actually running helter-skelter to get admissions elsewhere in part of this country, that you are bringing this university, you are bringing it closer to the people. The youth in Gombe State, the youth in Bauchi State, the youth in Adamawa, the youth in Taraba, the youth in Yobe will have now a singular opportunity in joining this very important University of Science. It encapsulates science-based subjects. It also encapsulates technology-based disciplines. So I think it's important at this point in time to have a university which will have the Northeast as its catchment area and the generality of Nigerians at large. I think this university is apt, it is historical, and I would like to commend the builder of the modern Gombe.
You have 1 second remaining.
Senator Eljuma Goje, for bringing this for my colleagues to consider and approved that this university be established. I so submit, Mr. President.
We are all familiar with these kinds of bills, which are people oriented, So is there any person who's against this bill? Then I put the question. Those in favor that this bill be read second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Science, Deba, Gombe State, to make provision for its due management and administration, and for related matters 2025. Second reading.
A bill for the act to establish the Federal University of Science, Deba, Gombe State, to make provision for its due management and administration, and for related matters 2025. Second reading. Taken. This bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund to report within 4 weeks. Let me commend Senator Goje for bringing forward this bill. Is someone that is known for his zeal to develop the educational fortune of his people. He did that in several means by way of establishing several institutions when he was a governor. In fact, he facilitated the establishment of Federal University Kashiri. So he wants to do it again. So we commend you for your passion to develop the education of your state and indeed the entire northeastern part of Nigeria. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Federal Oil and Gas Hospital, Banikrukru, Delta State Establishment Bill 2025, SB 847. The distinguished senator will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 24th June 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Joel Onawapo Thomas to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Senator Joel Thomas, the floor is yielded to you.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the lead debate on a bill for an act to establish the Federal Oil and Gas Hospital, Benikrukru, Delta State, to provide for comprehensive medical services for workers in the oil and gas industry, as well as communities affected by oil and gas explorations. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is my profound delight and honor to lead the debate on the general principles of the Federal Oil and Gas Hospital Establishment Bill 2025, SB 847. The bill was read for the first time on June 24, 2025. The bill seeks to, among other things, establish the Federal Oil and Gas Hospital to provide for comprehensive medical services for workers in the oil and gas industry, as well as communities affected by oil and gas operations and explorations. The overriding objectives of the bills are: 1, provide specialized medical services for workers involved in oil and gas operations and explorations in the country, as well as their host communities. 2, to ensure that workers in the oil and gas industry and their host communities have unhindered access to adequate and quality healthcare services and facilities. 3, reduce health risks associated with oil and gas operations and exploration by providing specialized medical services. 4,
Siting this hospital in this location will make healthcare and other emergency services accessible to the communities around crude oil installations, which was either not available all these years because of the peculiar terrain. 5. The siting of this hospital will to a large extent tame the agitations and restiveness in the Niger Delta. 6. Provide a wide range of emergency care, occupational health services, and treatment for oil and gas-related illness and injuries to help increasing productivity by reducing downtime in oil and gas industry. 7. Develop sustainable sources of funding for the hospital without placing financial burden on the federal government. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it might interest you to know that workers in the oil and gas industry vis-à-vis the host communities are often exposed to all manners of hazards as a result of oil and gas exploration activities, leading to terminal illnesses and injuries that would require the operational expertise of specialized medical personnel, skilled in occupational health and environmental medicine to handle. Therefore, the establishment of this proposed hospital will not only be beneficial to the workers and the host communities, but would go a long way to addressing some of the agitations in the Niger Delta region. This will invariably improve exploration activities in the region for the socio-economic development of this country. It will interest you to know that the Delta South Neutral District has the highest offshore crude oil production in Delta State and second in the country. And more specifically, the location indicated for this project is in the very heart of offshore oil exploration in the Niger Delta. This project will benefit oil companies and communities in Delta State. Note also that this location is home to many crude oil exploration activities of Chevron, in Escavos, Shell, ExxonMobil, Total, Nigerian Ajib Oil Company, etc. It is imperative to note, Mr. President, and my dear colleagues, that the funding of this proposed hospital has been structured in a way and manner that it would not pose additional financial burden on the treasury of the federal government. This is in view of the fact that the proposed hospital will be funded by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. For clarity, the NCDMB, as currently constituted, is not directly funded by the federal government. This board relies on revenue derived from 1% of every contract awarded to any operator, contractor, subcontractor, alliance partners, or any other entity involved in any project in the oil and gas industry. As such, this hospital is intended to be funded from the proceeds of such revenue as well. Finally, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, in compliance with Order 76, Section 3 of the Senate Standing Order 2023, as amended, the passage of this proposed bill will not pose additional financial burden on the treasury of the federal government, as foresaid in the reasons adduced above. Thank you for listening.
Senator Dixon, this is going to be cited in the Niger Delta, so I think you can second and then as a leader from that zone.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my dear colleagues. Henry Sirake Dixon, Bayelsa West. I'll be very brief, but thank you for recognizing me. Not only is this proposed medical hospital to be sited in the Niger Delta, it's actually it's proposed to be sited in the heart of the oil and gas business in the Joland. So it's also representing our people there. And I want to begin by commending him for sponsoring this bill. And this is the right thing to do. So, Mr. President, I rise not only to second it, and also to briefly urge that we pass this bill to get through the next stage of the legislative process, because this is the right thing to do. There is need to beef up the medical, educational infrastructure in that area. So I so second. Thank you.
Just let us take one person and then we move to Senator Dafinoni.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Ide Dafinone, representing Delta Central. I rise to support the second reading of the bill sponsored by my friend, brother, and colleague, Senator Joel Anoakpal Thomas, and would wish to highlight just 3 points quickly in view of the limited time available. The first is that the facility will be sited in Warri Southwest, which is an area that dominates the coastal, offshore, especially production of oil and gas in Delta South. So it is sited in an ideal area. Secondly, sir, the facility provides support for oil and gas injuries in particular, and there's no alternative nearby remedy for injuries in the oil and gas industry. So again, it is very well cited. Thirdly, and this is just for emphasis, Senator Thomas has said that the funding is coming from the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, which means that there's no additional pressure on the funding of the federal government. I think this is ideal, sir, and I firmly support the establishment of this oil and gas hospital. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that the bill be now read a second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to establish the Federal Oil and Gas Hospital, Benikuruku, Delta State, to provide for comprehensive medical services for workers in the oil and gas industry, as well as communities affected by oil and gas operations and exploration, and for related matters 2025, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal Oil and Gas Hospital, Benik Rukuku, Rukuru, Beni Kru, Delta State, to provide for comprehensive medical services for workers in the oil and gas industry, as well as communities affected by oil and gas operations and explorations, and for related matters, second reading, taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Secondary and Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary to report within 4 weeks. Let me commend Senator Joel for bringing forward this bill. This bill, by its nature, is a bill that will touch on the well-being of the people of the area who are really in need of a very, very advanced medical facility to take care of their health issues. It will enhance the health welfare delivery system of the area. Of course, it is said that health is wealth. So it's something that is highly required in that area. And Senator Jewels is living up to his position as a good representative of the people. And this is what everyone should do. Look at the plight of people and try to bring forward bills that will deal with their matters, that will alleviate their problems, that will help them, particularly in the areas of health, education, and so on and so forth. Health is quite very important. So we commend you, and you should continue on this part of helping your people at all times. Thank you, and I commend you on behalf of the Senate, Senator Joel, more grace to your elbow. You leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Federal University of Arts, Culture, Science and Tourism, Igbaroke, Ondo State, Establishment Bill 2025 SB 467. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 4th June 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Adegmo Adeniyi Ayodele, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Adeni Ade, you have the floor to to move your motion for the presentation of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, it's my pleasure to lead this debate. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles relating to the establishment of the Federal University of Arts, Culture, Science, Tourism, Ibarauke, Ondo State. The Senate will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 4th June 2024. The establishment of this university is informed by the need to create more access to university education for our teeming youth. Education is the sure means of developing individual potentials, and it is the greatest investment a nation can make to quicken its economic, political, social, and human development. In view of the large number of qualified candidates who are annually stranded because of their inability to gain admission into the few and affordable institutions of higher learning, the establishment of the Federal University of Arts, Culture, Science, Tourism, Ibarauke, Ondo State shall reduce youth restiveness and illiteracy levels. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the establishment of the Federal University of Arts, Culture, Science, and Tourism, Ibarauke, Ondo State, will provide our youth with opportunities for higher education with respect to arts, culture, and tourism. The objectives of the Federal University of Arts, Culture, Science, and Tourism, Ibarauke, Ondo State shall be: 1, to encourage the advancement of learning without discrimination of race, sex, creed, or political conviction. 2, to develop and offer academic and professional programs leading to the award of first degrees, postgraduate research, and diploma in arts, culture, science, and tourism. 3, to provide full-time courses, teach, research, instruct, and train students in arts, culture, science, and tourism. 4, to carry out research, promote, and encourage award of scholarships. 5, provide course of instruction and other facilities for the pursuit of learning in arts, culture, science, and tourism. 6, encourage the advancement of learning. 7, develop and conduct courses for training of students. 8, conduct examination and grant certificates to students who have passed and completed an approved course of study of the institution. And lastly, undertake other activities appropriate for a university of the highest standards. Mr. President, respected colleagues, this university, when established, would be among other relevant courses, offer specialized courses tailored to the needs of Nigeria in arts, culture, science, and tourism. The federal government of Nigeria has itself placed a premium on tourism, arts, and culture by the creation of a Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy. This is a clear indication of the importance which the federal government of Nigeria places on the development and promotion of arts, culture, and the tourism industry. My dear distinguished colleagues, tourism is without doubt a great foreign exchange earner for any country. There are countries in the world whose foreign exchange is derived principally from tourism. An example in Africa is Mauritius. The first step that the UAE took to attract foreign investment was to develop its tourism industry. I dare say that one of the drawbacks we have experienced in the tourism industry is the lack of well-trained personnel. This university seeks to address and promote arts and culture. It is going to be the first of its kind in Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I urge you all to support this bill as detailed in the objectives of the university. The university shall further advance knowledge through research, promote our arts, culture, science, and tourism. Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues, may I state that this bill has no extraordinary budgetary demand other than the ones that federal government has been provided for in its respective national budget. However, in compliance with Order 776, Sub-Rule 3 of the Senate Standing Rules, please find attached as Annex 1 the financial implication to the government accordingly. I must, however, inform you all, my distinguished colleagues, that the Igara community itself constructed buildings to house some of the departments and offices that are required to establish this university. This shows without doubt the importance which the community, like the federal government, places on development of arts, culture, and tourism. Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues, I urge you to give this bill the expeditious support and approval it deserves
in view of its peculiar nature and importance to the growth and development of our country. Thank you very much for your support and kind attention. Thank you, Mr.
Distinguished
President.
Senator, His Excellency Benga Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Benga Daniel, representing Ogo East Senatorial District. And I signed to second the motion and the bill by Senator Adegbomire on the establishment of the Federal University of Arts, Culture, Science, and Tourism. Apart from seconding this motion, I also like to appeal to my colleagues to kindly overwhelmingly support this specialized institution. As has already been clearly explained, there was a time when most of the things that we concentrated upon were courses like law, medicine, engineering, and so on and so forth. But if you look at the recent world order, things that has to do with arts and culture have more or less taken over in terms of the capacity to generate income for our environment. And like the mover also explained, there are quite a number of countries whose only means of livelihood is tourism. And clearly Nigeria has abundant potentials for tourism, for which we lack adequate manpower. I therefore think that if we can have a specialized institution like this, it will add a lot of value to the amount of income that will come to our environment. It will also help us in stemming the unprecedented youth unemployment which we have not just in Nigeria but virtually all over Africa. Mr. President, sir, I'd like to once again support that we go on with this bill.
Is there anybody against the passing of this bill? Those in favor that this bill be read the second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I being for an act to establish the Federal University of Arts, Culture, Science, and Tourism, Agbaroke, Ondo State, and for related matters 2025, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish a Federal University of Arts, Culture, Science, and Tourism, Igboraoke, Ondo State, and for other related matters, 2025, second reading. The bill is referred to the Committee on Health, Secondary, and Tertiary to report back within 4 weeks. Let me commend the sponsor of this bill, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Senator Adeni, for bringing forward this bill. It is really important that we continue to strengthen our educational system so that our people will be, so that we can enhance the human capital of our country. Human capital is what is really needed, is number one factor in the development of every nation. It's therefore important that we give premium, we give prominence to the development of our educational sector. And this institution, if established, will go a long way to help us to have trained people in various skills, tourism, arts, culture, science, that will help to develop our nation. It's therefore very important that we commend you for bringing forward this bill, and we hope that it will be given an expeditious passage, and the president will assent to it so that it will be established. Once again, we commend the Senate, commends you for bringing forward this bill. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the second reading of the National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill 2025 SB 498. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 4th July 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Salisu Shuaib Afolabi to move the motion.
Okay. So when they bring it, how you want to notify them?
Well, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I understand copies of the bill, the report are still being produced, which will mean that we are not able to go ahead with it as announced. Mr. President, may I then announce that the fourth order
They have brought it. They have brought it.
now withdraw it tomorrow. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth and fifth orders of the day are the presentation and consideration of the reports of the Committee on Communications on the 2025 budget of the Nigerian Communications Commission and 2025 budget of the Universal Service Provision Fund Board. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Bilbis Aliyu Ikra to move the motion for the Senate to receive, consider, and approve the reports.
Chairman, Senate Committee on Communications, Senator Elia Bilbiz. Aliyu Bilbiz, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Aliyu Bilbiz, can you please move the motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I'm Ikra Aliyu Bilbis, representing Zamfara Central, Zamfara. That the Senate do receive, I rise to move the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Communications on 2025 budget of Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, and the Universal Service Provision Funds, USCF.
Senator Patrick Ndubuezi, can you second the motion? After all, you were all in the House of Reps in the Third Republic.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Engineer Patrick C. Ndubueze, representing Imo North. I rise to second the motion as well and ably moved by distinguished Senator Aliyu Bilbiz, that the Senate receive and consider the reports of the 2025 budget of the Nigerian Communication Commission and USCF. I so support.
Those in favor of the motion moved by Honorable Ali Bilbiz and seconded by Senator Patrick Ndubuezi, as mentioned, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Ali Bilbiz, you may lay your reports, the two reports. You may wish to present your report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to present the reports of the Senate Committee on Communication on the 2025 budget of the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC. The Nigerian Communication Commission is the regulatory authority for the telecommunications industry.
You can go straight to
Recommendation.
That the Senate do approve the sum of 272,433,805,000 naira only. Communication Commission's budget for the 2025 budget. I go to the prayer, Your Excellency, that the Senate do approve the recommendation of the committee. I so move, Your Excellency.
the second report.
The second report, Your Excellency, my distinguished colleagues, is that the Senate do approve the sum of 15 billion only as the Universal Service Provision Funds budget for the year 2025. Prayer that the Senate do approve the recommendations of the committee. I so move, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Is anybody that is against the report? Those in favor, Okay, Chief Whip, okay, say something. I know he was your former colleague in the Third Republic. Maybe you want to commend him.
Yes, he was my former colleague in the House of Representatives in the Third Republic. Unfortunately, our speaker then, Mr. Agua Anoke, died on Saturday last week. So we are mourning him. But tomorrow is going. The distinguished Senator Victor Ome is bringing a motion. Yes.
Well, Chief Whip, you've been very loyal to his legislature, so he remained with the legislature. But he crossed over to executive to become a minister.
Yes.
He became a minister. Then he left two people in the legislature.
Yes, though I was also at a point in the executive as Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. Thank you. Okay. Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno Senatorial District. Well, I'm very much elated with the fact that out of the 15 billion naira budget, about 10 funds, more than 10 billion is dedicated to capital project. It's only the remaining about 4 billion that is meant for recurrent expenditure. So this one is very, very, very beautiful, and I urge other agencies to copy same so that more money can be deployed to capital projects that will have direct impact on vast majority of the people. Thank you.
And I put the question. Those in favor that this August Senate do approve the 2025 budget of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and the 2025 budget of the Universal Service Provision Fund Board, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. I commend on the part of the Senate, the chairman and members of the Committee on Communications for a job well done. They've done the job in a record time, and the report is well put together, well articulated, and straight to the point. And very, very clear for everyone to understand the content of the report. Mr. Chairman, continue the good work you are doing in the committee. The Senate is proud of you. Thank you very much. Leader of Senate.
They know that they took all the money was paid to the government.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the first order of the day, which was earlier stepped down, be now considered as the seventh order of the day because the sponsor of the bill is now around and copies of the report are also available for distribution to distinguished senators. Mr. President, I so move.
Minority Leader.
No, this one. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate Leader.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. SARS, Senator Salisu. Huh? Oh, Leader. You can now.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the next order of the day then will be the second reading of the National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill 2025 SB 498. Distinguished colleagues will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Thursday, 4th July 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Salisu Shuaib Afolabi to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator SARS, distinguished Senator SARS, Salisu Shuaib Afolabi, the floor is yielded to you.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me first and foremost convey my profound appreciation for this indulgence. I am going to represent the Senate Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund at a JAM policy event today. The chairman is not around and delegated me to, and that's why I wasn't around when the mayor first mentioned, but thank you for this indulgence. Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, permit me to lead the debate on general principles of this important bill that holds immense promise for our nation and the future of our workforce, the National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill. The bill was read for the first time on the floor of the hallowed chamber of the Senate on Thursday, 4th of July 2024. The legislation seeks to establish a structured and comprehensive legal framework for the development and regulation of national digital economy and e-governance system as a crucial step and strategic pillar for the 21st century governance, economic diversification, and national competitiveness, harnessing the potential of our digital economy to promote innovation, drive inclusive growth.
Senator SARS, you know we indulge you by,
I'll compress it.
So what you need, just summarize it.
I'll compress
summarize
it.
Yes.
So, Mr. President, the overview of the bill, the objectives are just about 5. 1, we need to establish legal framework for electronic communication records, contracts, and digital signatures. We need to mandate the digital transformation across public institutions, governed by national ICT standards and measurable service delivery benchmarks. It also seeks to introduce transparent and risk-based performance for artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies. And of course, it seeks to secure our digital systems through the certification of trust service providers. And finally, it will create a harmonized digital skill development framework to embed digital literacy in education, public service, and workforce initiatives. What are the expected impact of this bill? Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the bill's expected impact include enhancing Nigeria's ease of doing business through legally recognized paperless transactions. It will also enhance governance by eliminating administrative inefficiencies and reducing corruption through transparent digital processes. It will build public trust by enabling secure, transparent, and user-friendly government services. It will catalyze innovation by providing regulatory clarity and enabling environment for digital entrepreneurs. Lastly, it will reduce the digital divide by institutionalizing inclusive skill-driven programs for national development. When we are done, the savings from this bill will include about 300 billion naira annually from reduced paperwork, procurement inefficiencies, and manual processing costs that permeate all government offices. It will increase tax collection and compliance through digital identity integration, data transparency, and electronic invoicing. Revenue generation will also go up because we will be able to capture everyone that needs to pay revenue to the government. And last but not the least, it will facilitate the creation of over 1.5 million direct and indirect digital jobs by 2020, 2030 in such areas as software development, cyber security, digital marketing, AI engineering, and digital public roles. I'd like to conclude, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill 2025 is a forward-looking and foundational legal framework that reflects Nigeria's ambition to lead Africa's digital transformation. It offers the tool to implement national digital strategies, protect citizens' rights, foster economic inclusion, and enable government institutions to serve the public more efficiently and transparently. In light of its broad national importance and long-term benefits, the distinguished members of this Hollow Chamber are respectfully urged to consider and expedite the passage of this bill. Its enactment will secure Nigeria's place in the digital global age and strengthen the legal and institutional pillars of our shared economic future in line with the New Hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I invite you to please support the passage of this bill for second reading. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished senators. My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. This bill is very, very apt and germane, especially considering the fact that the world is moving towards digital economy and artificial intelligence is becoming very, very prominent. So what this bill essentially seeks to do is to give legal tips and framework for the modus operandi of artificial intelligence as well as operation of the digital economy, to give it not only the legal framework, but also to back and bite in the process of operating the digital economy. Against this backdrop, I support the second reading of this bill.
Anyone against this bill? Those in favor that this bill be read second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I be for an act to enable the growth of digital economy and digital governance in Nigeria by improving the certainty of digital transactions, digital service delivery, and for related matters 2025, second reading.
A bill for an act to enable the growth of digital economy and digital governance in Nigeria by improving the certainty of digital transactions, digital service delivery, and for related matters 2025, second reading taken. The bills refer to the Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity to report back within 4 weeks. Let me commend Senator Salisu Awolabi Shai for bringing forward this motion, for this bill, for sponsoring this bill, because the bill is directly talking about making our economy a sound and up and doing economy. Because every sound economy in the world now is anchored by digital, the kind of digital service it delivers to the people of such a country. Where you have a problematic digital service delivery and governance, then that economy is certainly doomed. So what he's saying, what the bill is directly talking about, is to reshape our economy to go in line with modernity. And so it is a bill that is geared towards the improvement of our economy and improvement of our nation in general. Salisu Folabi Shuaib, Senator, we commend you for bringing this bill, and we urge you to continue in the good work that you've been doing to impact positively, to always impact. All your bills are always geared towards um, things that will impact our economy positively. So we thank you for bringing forward this bill. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the seventh to the eighth order of the day are House bills for concurrence as listed on the order paper. Mr. President, for the simple nature of the bills and interchamber reciprocity, I will present a lead debate on the bills.
You can write on.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, lead debate on bills for concurrence from the House of Representatives. African Union Convention for the Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons, Domestication and Enforcement Bill 2025, HB 1350, and 2, Food Vendors Registration Council of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2025, HB 326. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on these two important bills from the House of Representatives for concurrence of the Senate. The African Union Convention for the Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons, Domestication and Enforcement Bill 2025, HB 1350, was read for the first time on Tuesday, 10th December 2024. This bill seeks to domesticate and enforce in Nigeria the African Union Convention for the Protection and Assistance to Internally Displaced Persons and Elimination of Root Causes of Internal Displacement in Nigeria, in line with the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, as amended, and other relevant laws and international instruments to which Nigeria is a party. Food Vendors Registration Council of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2025, HB 326, was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on 2nd October 2024. This bill seeks to establish the Food Vendors Registration Council of Nigeria, charged with the responsibility of advancing the registration, training, and safe practice of raw and cooked food vending businesses, and to prevent double taxation collection of members of the council by unauthorized bodies in Nigeria. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, these bills are straightforward and have gone through the necessary legislative process in the House of Representatives. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of these bills as we refer them to the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. I thank you for listening.
Any comment? Okay, too. Let me put the question. Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk will send it.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I be for asked to give effect to the provisions of the African Union Convention for the protection and assistance of internally displaced persons in Nigeria and for related matters 2025, HB 1350, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I be for an act to establish the Food Vendors Registration Council of Nigeria, charged with the responsibility of advancing the registration, training, and safe practice of raw and cooked food vending businesses, and to prevent double taxation collections of members of the council by unauthorized bodies in Nigeria 2025, HB 326, second reading.
A bill for an act to give effect to the provisions of the African Union Convention for the protection and assistance of internally displaced persons in Nigeria and for related matters 2023 HB 135, second reading. Taken. A bill for an act to establish the Food Vendors Registration Council of Nigeria, charged with the responsibility of advancing the registration, training, and safe practice of raw and cooked food vending businesses, and to prevent double taxation collection on members of the council by unauthorized bodies in Nigeria 2025, HB 326, second reading. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, pursuant to Order 78 of 3 of our rules, I move that the bills be now referred to the Committee of the Whole for consideration.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second that the bill be referred, that the Senate do resolve to Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. I so second.
Those in favor that this August Senate resolve into the Committee of the Whole to consider these bills as moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes of it. The senators do now resolve to the Committee of the Whole. Report. African Union Convention for the Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons, Domestication and Enforcement Bill 2025, HB 1350. Those in favor that clauses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10 all stand pass of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all stand passed of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes of it. Those in favor, that clauses 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, all stand parts of the bill. Those in favor say aye, favor say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes of it. Those in favor, there is the long title on page 1, short title, clauses 46 to 39, explanatory memorandum, page 30, all stand parts of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes of it. Report of the Food Vendors Association Council of Nigeria, Establishment Bill 2025 HB 326. Those in favor that clauses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all stand pass of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 23, sorry, all stand pass of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title on page 1, short title, clauses 23 to 11, explanatory memorandum, page 31, all stand pass of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The leader of the Senate move forward to resolve to plenary to report
Thank you, Mr.
progress.
President. Sitting as chair, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move.
Who is a PDP leader and all the minority parties, but
Mr.
not
President, sitting
exclude the
as chair.
coalition because they are not registered. Say aye.
Very soon
Can
I
move the
ask you
motion.
to create another
Second the
column there
motion.
for ADC. Mr. President, sitting as chair, I second the motion that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chair report progress. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion as moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader, who does not have or has all the authority of minority leader, say aye. Those against say nay. That's how I have it. Report. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, consider the African Union Convention for the Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons, Domestication and Enforcement Bill 2025, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses, clause 1 to 44 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 45 as recommended. Short title clause 46 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 2 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Report number 2. The Senate in the committee of the whole considered the Food Vendors Registration Council of Nigeria, Assembly Bill 2025, long title as recommended. Number of clauses, clause 1 to 21 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 22 as recommended. Short title, clause 23 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 2 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. It is a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole. The clerk of the Senate, the leader of the Senate, leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the bills be now read the third time. I so move.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, second the motion that the bill be read the third time. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion move for the third reading of these bills by the Senate leader and second minority leader, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I brief and asked to give effect to the provisions of the African Union Convention for the protection and assistance of internally displaced persons in Nigeria and for related matters 2025, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I brief and asked to establish the Food Vendors Registration Council of Nigeria, charged with the responsibility of advancing the registration, training, and safe practice of raw and cooked food vending businesses, and to prevent double taxation collections on members of the council by unauthorized bodies in Nigeria, 2025, third reading.
A bill for to give effect to the provisions of the African Union Convention for the protection and assistance of internally displaced persons in Nigeria and for related matters 2025 HB 1350 and a bill for to establish the Food Vendors Registration Council of Nigeria, charged with the responsibility of advancing the registration, training, and safe practice of raw and cold food vending businesses, and to prevent double taxation, collection of members of the council by unauthorized bodies in Nigeria, 2025 HB 32Cs, all the two bills, third reading taken and passed. The Senate leader, you may wish to move for the Senate to adjourn till tomorrow by 11 a.m. prompt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. Having concluded today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn till Wednesday, the 9th day of July 2025 at 11 a.m. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, motion seconded and moved. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion for adjournment as moved by the leader of the Senate and seconded by minority leader, aye. Those against this motion who don't want us to adjourn, please say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is accordingly adjourned till Wednesday, 9th day of July, 2025 at 11 a.m. prompt.